Hi guys, Paul from the innovation community here. Today I'm with Jacky Mampana, who is the head of analytics, insights and business intelligence at Holland Insurance. So Jacky runs the end-to-end data strategy for the South African insurance company. Great to have you with us.
Thank you, Paul. And thank you to everyone that's going to be listening and watching.
Just to start with, tell us a bit about yourself in a few words.
Jacky is a father. I am a brother. I'm 38 years old. And I've been in the data space now for 15 years, most of which has been in the financial services industry, banks and insurers.
And where did your data career really start?
My data career actually started at university. And funny enough, I didn't study anything IT related. I did agricultural economics at university. But then I worked for a bureau at the Department of Agriculture at university, and we did econometrics modeling, which is basically data analytics, very advanced at that. And that's where I got introduced to data, and analysis and all of that. And then from then on, I ended up in the bank as a business analyst, and the rest is history.
So they say. And how did that role evolve over time?
Yeah, so the role has evolved quite a lot. I mean, initially when we started, my role was basically, I was a business analyst, but I was actually doing data end to end. I was doing development, I was doing analysis, I was doing testing, I was doing visualization, basically everything. And over time, what happened is that there was specialization in the role, where you start getting, pure business analysts, data analysts, developers. And now it's actually changed even more with the emergence of advanced analytics, the emergence of data science, the solidification of the architecture role. So there's quite a lot of roles that have emerged, and I'm hoping we can touch on that later on in the conversation.
Here's hoping. So what are you up to in the current role?
Yeah, so currently we are busy with quite a lot of things. The biggest thing that we're doing is we're basically moving away from an on-prem ODS kind of environment into a cloud-based data warehouse environment and a data lake environment. So we're changing it from on-prem to on-cloud, and we're going to have a proper data warehouse, and we'll have a data lake that will enable advanced analytics. In a nutshell, that's what we're doing.
Fantastic stuff. So at the heart of it, what really interests you about working with data?
Well, for me, I've got a magnifying glass into the business. I'm able to see into the mind of the customer. I'm able to see into the business processes. I've got a view of the systems. So I basically have a view that a lot of people don't have, So I'm able to see the entire business, and even outside, because I can see what the customer is up to. I can see what the economy is doing even because I can see it in the numbers. So it gives you that 360 view of everything, and a helicopter view as well.
Fantastic. And a lot of what you're working on as well is about data literacy. I mean, in your experience, how can companies really encourage a culture of data literacy?
Yeah, so for me, I think it starts with recognizing data as an asset. A lot of companies have somebody managing finance because they see, finance or capital as an asset. But a lot of companies are waking up to seeing data as a key asset now. And for that reason, it starts there. So once you see data as an asset, then you're able to start saying, but do my people understand it? And I mean, people at all levels, from the operational level to the executive level. And that's where data literacy comes in, because it allows business people to start understanding data and to start recognizing data for what it is. It's not an IT thing. It's actually a business thing. And therefore business needs to be, empowered to understand the data speak, if I can put it that way.
And from your own experience, how do we empower young people to really pursue this career in data? You mentioned yourself that isn't really what you set out to do. So you probably have some pretty good insights here.
Yes. No, certainly, because I think the first thing is to start by saying you don't have to study IT to be in the data space. That's a very important thing, because a lot of young people get discouraged when they want to enter into our world and they think, oh, well, I did biochemistry at school, so I can't be in the data space. So if you studied anything that is analytic in nature, you should be able to get into the data space. And secondly, it's up to us as data people to actually tell young people about the exciting roles that are out there in the data space. And I'm doing that in my own personal space as well. You know, I go out to young people that are in high school and I tell them about our world, what career options there are, what you can do, what you need to study. And over and above that, I was involved over the last couple of years with universities and nonprofit organizations in terms of developing university curriculums to get to a point where young people can go and study very practical skills that can allow them to get into the data space. You know, and there's a lot of development there. I mean, data science is now being offered at the university level, and that's a good start for me, you know.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And what would you describe as some of the major successes that you've achieved over your career so far?
So for me, over and above the technical things that I've achieved and enabling the strategy, it's been the ability to create, manage, and maintain high performance teams. That for me is what gives me the biggest joy, because I see some of the people that I've managed, they've gone on to do very great things in their own career. And that for me gives me the biggest joy. The people element gives me the biggest joy. But then second to that is the ability to enable an enterprise strategy through data, to see companies selling better products, to see companies improving customer experience, you know, to see companies improving their bottom line even, you know, through the usage of data. That for me is where the biggest passion and the biggest, you know, sense of achievement comes in. You know, I've seen that over the years, and I'm hoping to see a lot of that into my career.
So tell us about a time that you affected change in a major organization, and what were the challenges that came with that?
Yeah, I think I'll give it an example of my current employer, which is Hollard Insurance. So when I started at Hollard, I came in as the head of data governance. And my role was to basically design and implement a data management framework with data governance at the center. And this was done at an enterprise level. And Hollard is quite a big organization, if I can tell you. And in order for us to design and roll out this enterprise-wide data management framework, it involved, you know, talking to people across all the levels in the organization, from the operational level to the strategic level, talking to people at the center, to talking to people in the business unit. So it involved many people. So stakeholder management was a key aspect of what I did. And at the end of about the year or so period that I was involved in that role, we had a functional data management framework that was implemented. And with that, we were also able to help our legal people in terms of compliance with the regulations. Because a lot of the regulations that we need to comply with have a very big data side to it. You know, we've got a similar regulation like GDPR as an example. It's called POPIA in South Africa. And through the data work, we were able to help the legal people to actually uplift the implementation of POPIA compliance in the organization. So that is just one example. There are many other examples. I mean, I can also give the emergence of the data role, the data steward role, and the data owner role. It came from that framework. And those roles are now quite solid in the organization. And everybody understands what they are, and we're deriving value from those organizations. So it tells you that that framework actually worked. You know, the change has been positive for the organization. But there were a lot of challenges, I must say. And I think some of the biggest challenges was having to wear a legal hat when we are not legal people. Because we struggled a little bit in the beginning with the interpretation of the regulations and to see the data aspect of it. And we had to jump in and wear the legal hat as well, you know. So legal caught us on the path already. So that was a bit of a challenge for me. And then secondly, the buy-in of the data owner and data steward role, it was a big challenge. Because number one, it was not linked to people's KPIs. And for that reason, people didn't understand why they needed to spend time on it, you know. And secondly, we initially sold it as a full-time role. And business did not initially see the value of having that as a full-time role. So we had to basically sell this concept, this new concept to business. And it was a struggle. But over time, in showing them what value was going to be derived out of these roles, we were able to sell it to them, even though it's still not full-time, but hey, we're getting the value out of it.
It's always a journey, right?
It certainly is a journey.
So how are you currently leveraging technology to really help with this journey?
Yeah, well, technology is playing quite a big role. And I'll start with the visualization side. So we started rolling out mobile BI. And what it's done is it's allowed our executives to go out there and talk to our partners and our customers and have real access to data, real-time access to data that they can be able to drill through on, that they can be able to discuss anything live in real time. Now they don't have to come in and print stacks of, Excel and PowerPoint report. Now they can actually get everything on their iPad. That for me has been a very important thing. And then secondly, cloud. I mean, cloud is such an important thing. Previously, most of our infrastructure was on-prem, and that comes with a lot of risks. The server issues, space issues, security risks. All of that is changing with our migration to the cloud. In leveraging cloud technologies, we are able to store a lot more data now. We're able to process data a lot more efficiently, and it's a lot more secure than how it was on-prem. And then secondly, AI. I mean, definitely AI is a cool technology that's out there. And in Holland, we are now leveraging AI to optimize our business processes, to automate some of our business processes. And we're seeing a lot of value in this. We're saving a lot of money in the business. We're making people a lot more efficient in what they do, because now they don't have to spend time doing manual work. Now they're adding real value, in exchange for the salaries that we pay them. So there's a whole lot of host of technologies that I can mention, but I think for me, cloud, AI, mobile BI, those three have been some of the biggest winners for us.
And how would you describe your leadership style, especially when working with team members to get them engaged? You mentioned about implementing the data steward role earlier, maybe some of those contexts.
Yeah, for me, I think my leadership style, first of all, I'm a human before I'm a manager. And I carry that into my role. I want to relate to people on a human level, whether people that are reporting to me or stakeholders. Because once you achieve that, you are able to achieve a whole lot more, because people can buy in to what you're trying to sell to them. Your staff can put a lot more effort into their work because they know you believe in them. They know you relate to them. They see you as a leader. They don't see you as a manager. The human element, that's very, very important. And I carry that into my role.
Fantastic stuff. So where do you currently see the biggest opportunity for improvement within Hollard right now?
So I think for me, the biggest opportunities for improvement is leveraging digital technologies. We're quite early in our journey in terms of rolling out digital technologies, but I think by the time when we actually get to a point where these technologies are making an impact, there's going to be a huge, huge, huge benefit for the organization. We will save a lot of money. We will be able to reach our customers through a multiple channel. We will have an omni-channel strategy. Our customers can interact with us a lot more seamlessly and efficiently. And of course, our business processes can be optimized and improved. So digital holds the biggest value for me when it comes to this.
What do you think was the biggest mistake you made during your career?
Geez, I'm going to have to think quite hard about that one. I think initially, I would say part of the mistakes that I made initially was that in the early stages of my career, I changed roles too quickly, without, really focusing and choosing the skills that I want to concentrate on, that I want to develop. When you're a young person, you chase silly things like you chase money. So I learned that the hard way, that, it's not about that. Ultimately, it's about creating value in the business and creating a legacy for yourself in an organization. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm in there for the long run, and I want to see value being driven in the business through my work. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I made early on in my career.
And what are your thoughts on the impact of COVID-19? How has that affected your role and also the wider organization as well?
Yeah, well, I think COVID-19 on the whole, it's obviously had a negative impact on the business, because our customers got impacted quite severely, and we saw quite an increase in lapse rate, where a lot of people were not necessarily affording insurance anymore. So there was a financial impact, which was on the whole on the negative side. But there was also a positive impact because through COVID-19, we are now able to work from home as an example. We've improved the way we work. All of a sudden, we're leveraging technology more. I mean, I'm chatting to you on Zoom, and I'm doing the same thing at work. We're having meetings on Zoom. You can work from anywhere. And with that, we've been able to see an improvement in efficiency. People are working longer, better, and harder from home. And that is thanks to COVID-19. So there's been a positive and a negative effect on the business, I can say.
Yeah, and what is your top working from home tip?
Well, you need to take breaks. Because what I've found is that working from home, you basically sit in front of your laptop from the morning to very late in the evening. This is quite peculiar for me. When we were working in the office, we would stick to normal working hours or maybe work 2 or more hours afterwards. But now we work a lot longer at home, and a lot of people actually are attesting to this. But it means you're not paying attention to your health because you're sitting down for too long. So you need to take time out, take a walk, switch off your laptop, and just recharge your batteries. That's very important. Otherwise, you're going to burn out.
Mm. And what does your routine look like now that you've been working from home?
Well, my routine is that I sit on this desk that I'm on now. I work, I take tea breaks, I take walking breaks, but generally most of my day is spent right here on this desk in a lot of meetings. I'm mostly in meetings, to be honest, and taking calls here and there. But it's a routine that I think I'm comfortable with, and I'm actually confident that we can even work from home permanently because it works. We are efficient and effective in working from home.
Absolutely. What are you curious about right now?
Well, for me, the curiosity is the future. What does the future look like in data management? What will my role look like in the next 5 years? And I don't know if anyone knows because there's so much change in our space. It's happening at lightning pace. So the future for me is where the curiosity is. How can we leverage data to improve our businesses? How can we make our business a lot better through data? And what will data look like? That evolution of data is what I'm curious about. And I'm trying to read a lot about the trends that are coming and all of that stuff, because it's really quite a curious thing.
And what's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Well, for me, the best piece of advice was in my first job when I started working. And my then manager said to me, Jacky, if you're going to put your name on anything, make sure that it's accurate. Go through it 10 times, double check it and triple check it and just check it and make sure that it's correct. And for that, it's made accountability very important to me in my career. I'm accountable for what I do. I never put my name on anything unless I'm sure that it's accurate. And I'm trying to pass the same message to people that report to me, that be accountable for your work, take ownership of your work.
That's some pretty good advice. Who's your favorite thought leader or author, whether that's in data or just in business in general?
Well, Elon Musk. Elon Musk for me, well, he's not necessarily in the data space, but I think his principles in life are some of the things that I aspire to. He doesn't believe in boundaries. He's got a vision and he goes out there and he achieves his vision and he changes things. He's an interrupter. He interrupts, the status quo. And that's what we should do in the data space as well. Data holds a lot of opportunities in the future for business. And we as data people need to start thinking out of the box. We should tell business what data, can help them with, as opposed to us waiting for them to come to us, And that's where I think we can make the biggest impact in the future. And that I'm looking at Elon Musk as an example.
Absolutely. What is your favorite quote?
Let me think. Jesus. Well, for me, there's a quote that is attributed to Nelson Mandela, and he said, "We don't really know what it is that we are capable of until we've done it." You know, I'm not sure if I'm mentioning the exact words, but it's something along those lines. You know, that what we are capable of is a lot more than what we actually think, you know, ourselves. You know, and I actually believe that almost everyone has that in them. You know, you've got an ability to change the world in you, and everybody has this in you. But a lot of people don't know it because they don't simply believe in themselves. And that's what Nelson Mandela was talking to.
And finally, what advice would you give for aspiring leaders in data?
Well, what I can advise them is that data is an asset. We should never tire into getting business to understand this very important point. You know, we need to get our businesses to recognize the value of data, you know, because there's a lot more benefit that data business can derive out of data. And it's up to us to become evangelists, you know, to teach our business people to keep preaching the value of data to our business people so that they recognize this very important asset for what it is.
Great advice there from Jacky Mampana, Head of Analytics, Insights and BI at Hollard Insurance. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Paul. I really appreciate this time.